Miss Rebecca. How are you?
Walda? It's good to see you.
Nice
We've
to
been
see
so
you.
busy here at the library.
We have.
What's been up with you, though?
All I can tell you, it sure is hot outside.
Oh, yes.
And school is definitely out.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
The relatives are coming.
They are?
Yes. My granddaughters are coming, and they're coming all the way from Colorado.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. How about you?
Yes, I'll be visiting with all my cousins. They're going to be traveling, so yes.
I think this calls for some relative books.
I think so, too. You have a good one?
I do. One of my favorite.
Okay, share it with us.
Bubba and Beau Meet the Relatives by Kathi Appelt. Oh dear, here we start. The relatives are coming, said Mama Pearl. Oh, and suddenly there was a lot to do. First, Mama Pearl went on a home improvement spree. Look at her, clean. Then she handed out orders. Get the cobweb, put your bones away, and vacuum the rug. Oh, next came the cooking. Never in all their born days had Bubba and Beau seen so much stirring and stewing. Big Bubba even baked his boot-kicking, bodacious banana buttermilk pie. Yep, Bubbaville was a buzz. In Chapter 2, the only place that was safe from all the to-do was the garden. The home of the mud hole. And Bubba and Beau loved to squishy squish, and they loved to squashy squash, and most of all they loved the way it oozed between the fingers, the toes, and paws. Whee! Squealed Bubba. Ow! Begged Beau. And sister, that mud hole was better than pickled eggs. And when Mama Pearl saw Bubba and Beau, she swooned. But the relatives will be here any minute, she cried. Only one thing to do, said Big Bubba. Bubba fussed and Beau whined. Mama Pearl was not deterred. She dressed Bubba in his brand new sailor suit. Bubba hated that sailor suit. It was tight, it was stiff, and it was scratchier than the toilet brush. Beau got a new bandana. Yuck! Chapter 3. When the relatives drove up, it was jubilation galore. First there was Granddaddy Bubba, then there was Grandma Ruby. Whee! Next, Aunt Sapphire. At last, Cousin Arlene and her dog Bitsy. Honey, it was Frou-Frou City. Bubba got passed all around. Granddaddy Bubba held him up to the sky. This is one fine little Bubba, he said, and Grandma Ruby held him to her chest. He's the best Bubba ever, she cried. And Aunt Sapphire planted her big red lips right on his cheek. Mwah! And Cousin Arlene got passed all around, too. Aren't they adorable? Said Aunt Sapphire, and all the relatives sighed. Chapter 4. A tour was the next order of business. Mama Pearl showed the relatives a sparkly, clean house, and Big Bubba showed off Earl his trusty pickup truck, and Earl's coat shone like a mirror. Awfully proud of his truck. Pretty red truck. Finally, Mama Pearl and Big Bubba showed the relatives the garden, and Bubba and Beau looked at each other, and they looked at Cousin Arlene and Bitsy, and then they headed straight for the mud hole. Brother, it was paradise found. Whee! Squealed Bubba. Woo! Squealed Cousin Arlene. Woo! Bayed Beau. Yip, 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 yip. Yipped Bitsy. Look at that. My goodness. They're having a blast in the mud. So long, scratchy sailor suit, bye-bye, itchy bandana, adios, frilly dress and frou-frou hair bows. Only one thing left to do, said Big Bubba. You remember what that was last time, right? Yeehaw, honey. It was a picture-perfect moment in Bubbaville. Look at that truck, filled with water. Everybody cooling off in that hot sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, supper's on, said Mama Pearl at last. And first they started chowing down. Then they started catching up. Bubba and Beau and Cousin Arlene and Bitsy had never heard so much yappering. Yes, sirree, those relatives caught up till the cows came home. Chitter, chatter, chitter, chatter. Afterwards, Big Bubba served up his boot-kicking, bodacious banana buttermilk pie. Sister, it was better than a trip to Graceland. Finally, the sun began to set. Bye-bye, Granddaddy Bubba. Bye-bye, Grandma Ruby. Bye-bye, Aunt Sapphire. Bye-bye, Cousin Arlene and Bitsy. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a story of Bubba and Beau Meet the Relatives. I hope you enjoyed that. Did you like it?
Yeah,
Fun,
that
isn't
was
it?
a lot of fun in that story.
Yes, it sure is. And you know, I got to tell you, I got a great idea for when the girls come.
Really? What are you going to do?
I got the idea right out of this book. I have a trunk.
Oh, yeah?
So guess what I'm going to do?
Mm.
I'm going to fill the back with water, and we're going to have a splash, water splash day.
Oh, that'll be nice in all this heat. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll really like that.
Absolutely.
Well, my story about relatives are about all my relatives that have to travel here to Virginia, to our state.
Oh, okay.
So it's similar to these relatives. The Relatives Came by Cynthia Rylant. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. So they left going from Virginia. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop, some bones, boxes of crackers, and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came all the way from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles, and finally they pulled up into our yard. Yippee! They're there. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Then it was into the little house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways, you'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around, until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s in the house. So we each had somebody to talk with. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different, going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. Look how many relatives are sleeping. Wow. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and fix the broken things that they could find. Oh, it looks like a wonderful time. They They ate up all the strawberries and melons, then promised we could come eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. Singing and dancing. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing all together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chests and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet, and we fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they were traveling along, they looked at all the strange houses in different mountains, and they thought about the dark purple grapes waiting for them in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them and missing us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer. So they go to visit every summer. Isn't that nice?
That is great. That is so great. You know, I've been thinking about what to do with my granddaughters when they come, and I heard something about a story walk in a park. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, the Culpeper County Library has a story walk, which is you follow along and read each page as you're walking, and it's going to be at Lynn Park and the Culpeper Sports Complex. So anytime out there before August 9th, you can go play at the park and have a story.
I'm going to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
And we need to encourage them to keep reading, right?
That's
the
right.
children need to keep reading.
So that you can finish your challenges. All right, Miss Walda, we'll see you next time.
I'll see you at the story walk.
Sounds great.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.